Kevin here with Tavolo di Brumana. On today's episode, we are going to be making chocolate spice ball cookies. Whether you know them as chocolate spice balls, Italian chocolate spice cookies, Sicilian chocolate spice cookies, Tetù, tutu, or toto, this recipe is a delicious blend of chocolate, spice, and a tart fruit topped with a powdered sugar glaze. I grew up in a small town where everyone knows everyone, Colinga, California. Look it up. This is the kind of place where teachers remember teaching your brothers, sisters, and cousins. This recipe comes from one of those elementary teachers, Mrs. Vaughn. Now retired and living in the Pacific Northwest, each year she bakes what looks like hundreds of Christmas cookies for her friends and family. She was kind enough to send me a packet of her recipes, and I knew that this had to be the first one that I made. First thing first, I repeat, do not double the recipe. It should make about 6 dozen cookies. If you need more than that, do 2 separate batches. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. For this recipe, you will need 4 cups of flour, 2.5 cups unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 heaping tablespoon baking powder, 1.5 tablespoons cinnamon, 1/2 tablespoon ground cloves, 1/2 tablespoon allspice, 1/2 tablespoon nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Mix all of the dry ingredients in a bowl. In a separate bowl, cream 1 cup of softened butter, 1.5 cups granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons vanilla, 4 eggs, adding them one at a time to not split the batter. Three-quarters cup whole milk, and the zest of 3 oranges. Add the dry ingredients small amounts at a time, being sure to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl as you go. When the dough gets too thick and you see your machine starting to struggle, either switch to a dough hook or you can mix by hand with a wooden spoon. Now, I deviated from her recipe here. I included 2 cups of dried cranberries, but you can use any tart fruit. Mrs. Vaughn recommends 2 cups of raisins or 2 cups of dried sour cherries, or a mix of fruit and nuts. Just remember to only add a total of 2 cups of whatever you decide. Add your choice of fruits into the dough and mix until fully incorporated. Then roll into 1 or 1.5 inch balls and place them onto a baking sheet. You don't need to worry about giving them room to spread. They will hold their shape. Bake for 9 to 10 minutes. Do not overbake. I recommend doing a test bake. When I tested this recipe, I did my first batch for 9 minutes and they came out fudgy, and I was afraid that they weren't cooked all the way. I did my second batch for 10 minutes and they came out super dry. So play around with the timing. With these cookies, a minute is a long time. Remove them from the oven and cool on wire racks. Once they are completely cooled, they need their glaze. Whisk together 2 cups powdered sugar with 2 to 4 tablespoons of milk. Start with 2 and then slowly add more milk until you reach your desired consistency, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Dip the cookies in the glaze and leave on cooling racks, allowing the glaze to drip off and harden. Before it hardens, you can add sprinkles if you desire. I put orange zest on a few, and I even added an instant coffee to the glaze on the last dozen to see how it would change the flavor. I was not disappointed. So these cookies make the perfect hostess gift any time of the year. Fill up a glass jar and tie a ribbon around it to make a beautiful addition to their party table, but they may just want to save them for after all of their guests have left. If you don't want to spend the money on name brand jars, and you certainly don't have to, you may be able to find glass jars at your local dollar store. I tend to get them, like this cute little guy that I filled with random things. During the Christmas season, fill up a few smaller jars, slap a bow on it, and keep them under your tree in a basket for all those unexpected visitors or neighbors. When I was sick recently, my friend brought me some homemade soup in these gorgeous jars. And I'm finally getting around to returning them, so the least that I could do was fill them with cookies. Thank you all for watching today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. So join me next week as we christen our new Le Creuset and make Boeuf Bourguignon. Don't be afraid, it's just a braised beef stew in a wine sauce. Doesn't that sound delicious? Bye, guys.